Hello, and thanks for watching the Friends of the Farm lecture series. Each session is designed to deliver a small and in depth dose of cannabis education. My name is Candace Hawes, and I want to thank all of our viewers and customers from the pharmacy, the pottery, the Natural Healing Center, as well as all of our friends joining us from around the world. Please make sure to hit subscribe and get notified when we post any new future cannabis content on YouTube. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing the roots of 420, as well as 710 and the newest of the cannabis holidays, Hash Holiday, which falls on 11/30, as well as the widespread celebration of these cannabis holidays, which signify in terms of the change of the stigmatization of the plant in our society. Our special guest today is Keiko Beatie. Keiko Beatie has been a practitioner of Ayurveda, Chinese, and holistic medicine since the 1970s. She's the co owner and the director of education at Coral Cove Wellness Resort, located in Jamaica, an all inclusive cannabis and psychedelic educational resort on the ocean front in the crystal clear blue waters of Jamaica. She speaks at many mainstream and cannabis conferences across the country on subjects such as senior education, edibles, pain management, cannabis, travel, tourism, patient care, just to name a few. At this time, she's currently a board member of many various organizations, starting with Orange County Normal, the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, the Asian Cannabis Roundtable. She's also an edibles judge for the Emeralds Cup and is also an ambassador of the Cannabis State Fair Exposition. Keiko studied at the UCLA Business School, at the Esalen Institute, at the Twin Lakes Holistic College, the Aleve Polarity Institute, the CIS California Institute of Integral Studies, the LA College of Massage and Physical Therapy. She's worked in the music and film and surf industry prior to becoming and deciding to set her path on education and patient care and natural medicine. She's also assisted in starting the OC Women Grow chapter, and has written for Weed Maps, Marijuana.com, Sensi Magazine, and the Canna Life Travel Magazine, just to name a few. And she's currently writing a book on microdosing for her health and wellness at this time. With this book, she hopes to demystify the information about fungi medicines for wellness. Thank you so much for being with us today, Keiko.
Candace, I am so honored to be here today because as we feel the energy building up for our favorite holiday, 420. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I was really excited about having this topic on because there's been a lot of like myths about like what 420 like really means, and like I've had a lot of people ask me throughout the years, and so as as this time came around, and I wanted to have somebody discuss this topic, I thought you would be like the perfect person because you've spoken at a lot of conferences across the country, and you kind of are like the cultural keeper of so I thought you'd be
on. I just love seeing where everybody's from here. Taipei, Sacramento, Ventura. Thank you everyone for being here today. It's an honor, and I know that I'm going to try and share with you information about the 420 holiday.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what you guys put together for us. And at the end, I'm going to follow up with some information about 710 and Hash Holiday, like I said. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see what you found out about 420. And yeah, let's get into it.
And I really am looking forward to giving away a stay at Coral Cove Wellness Resort. And that's for two people because I wouldn't want you to go by yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Everyone better pay attention.
Yes. So here we are here, and we are going to share about the 420 holiday and how it is a holiday and how it got started. I mean, it just became something that we all related to, and the understanding within our friends and other people in the community whenever we said 420, and we pick up our watches, tap our wrist, and say, it's going to be 420 soon. And we all kind of shuffle together about maybe making time for us to light one up. So here we are, High Times Explored 420 a Cannabis Holiday. And that picture, I'm actually in Jamaica. And the gentleman there, his name is Rix, and he was the cultivator outdoor, sun-grown. And where Coral Cove is located at, it's right in a place called Orange Hill. And Orange Hill is the Humboldt, Sonoma, Northern California of cannabis. And so it's the same type of growing conditions that does wonderful outdoor cultivation. So we're going to start now. And for a worldwide cannabis holiday, who knew it would develop into this? But here we are. It's a celebration all over the world, and it's just amazing at how it's grown. It's looked upon as a national holiday, and it's great because this year it's on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So a lot of people feel like they can really let their hair down and light up. So we are going to look at all the different types of celebrations of 420 all over the world. And who can recall when they first heard about 420? Well, what it is that there is the Waldos. And if you want to raise your hand in the chat, if you know what the Waldos are, but for those who don't know, I'm going to share it with you. Back in San Rafael, California, and that's just north of San Francisco Bay, there was San Rafael High School. And there were these guys there. They weren't the athletic jocks. They were more the guys that were hiding underneath the bleachers smoking while the football team was out on the field. And do you recall that there were five of them? I'm sorry. Their names were Steve Cather, Dave Reddick, Jeffrey Knoll, Larry Swarth, and Mark Levitt. And they were known as the Waldos because they met by the statue of Louis Pasteur, and they would get together and smoke. And this group became uh, the Waldos because it was by a wall where they met. Very simple, but they would say 420 to each other in the hallways when they knew they were going to go meet there at the wall and smoke. And so then what happened is that after a while, they started wanting to do other things while they did smoke. And the one thing, though, one of their brothers, Reddick's brother, helped him get a job working with the Grateful Dead, and the bassist Phil Lesh who was a roadie there. So they would eat together, and they really were being able to share that experience of 420. And then the group of deadheads, they were handing out flyers and inviting people to smoke at 420 on April 20th at 4:20 p.m. And one of the flyers ended up with Steve Bloom, who was a former reporter for High Times magazine, and he was the authority on cannabis culture. So when he found out about that flyer, all of a sudden it started to be shared about this 420 event on April 20th. And it became known as a code within that group as the time to relax, set everything down, and lighten up. And it just spread because it just became a kind of a moniker, an understanding for us to be able to relate to each other and smoke. And a lot of times I feel that myself being part of this community, I was always looking for that special tribe of people where we would just get together and embrace the feeling that cannabis gave us. So the Waldos were the true creators of 420. And what they did is they not only influenced the Northern California crew, but also the Grateful Dead. And with the Grateful Dead, they actually spread that understanding of 420 even more. And Steve Bloom, he is now the publisher celebrity stoners. And actually, both Candace and I are on that list of celebrity stoners. Not that there were celebrities. I think maybe because we've just been doing it a long time. Right, Candace?
Yeah.
Anyway, the flyer became the reputation as the annual gathering of pot smokers. And they wanted people all over the world to experience that same feeling, that camaraderie, that togetherness of cannabis consumption. And I think it's because we were so limited on when and where we could gather together, whether under the bleachers, next to a wall, or just sneaking behind a building. I mean, we were always looking for that special place where we could gather together and find a unity with each other. And I always felt that cannabis was much more, for me, a spiritual connection. I related a lot to the Native American Indians and how they smoked peace pipes. So every time I got in a circle with anyone, I always felt like this is my time for that peace pipe moment, honoring the herb in the pipe and relating to everybody around me. That's our tribe, our understanding of that togetherness of cannabis. And so collectively, everybody would come together for funny, and that is our stoner holiday. And I want to say thank you to the Waldos and Steve Bloom, and also to the Grateful Dead for embracing that feeling of 420 and the Waldos.
Yeah. They created like the first, like cannabis code, like the secret code that we can all kind of like rally together in. And what's kind of cool is like, if you had like something that said like 420 or even like normal, like, like you only knew if you knew, so it kind of created like this secret society. I remember when I was in college, I took a sociology class about, drugs. I think it was like drugs in society. It was a class, and I actually did a class. I did a project on like code. I think like something about codes. Like the underground codes of like the drug society, and it was about 420. And it was actually pretty cool. I found this clip of The Price is Right and Bob Barker. And like one of the contestants came up, and with every single item that came up for like the bid, of all the contestants, he was like, no matter what, it was like a lawnmower. He was like, Bob, 420. The next thing came up, it was a TV. He's like, Bob, 420. And like Bob Barker was it was funny because I was like, Bob Barker is in the know. He's in the code. He's in the group because Bob was he knew what the guy was going to say. He was like, let me guess. He's like, 420. It was just hilarious. And the guy was he knew he wasn't going to win a prize. He didn't even care. He just wanted to be able to be on national TV and to say 420 on national TV like 5 or 6 times, and the whole audience was laughing. Like Bob Barker was just so funny. It was great. It was my favorite ever. So it's just so funny. It's like code, and it's really cool. Like we could all come together. You'd see someone with 420, I'd be like, I like your shirt, buddy, and you'd know it's part of your group, like they might look completely buttoned up or like a mom with kids, and she'd be like, I like your shirt. Yeah.
See,
So
that's part of our tribe. Yeah.
part of our
And
tribe.
when we wear our normal sweatshirts, people really relate to that too, no matter where you're at. So,
Yeah.
and so how people celebrate 420, most individuals like ourselves, we just want to be with friends and enjoy each other. And you can do it in groups. And of course, some of us do it solitary because there's no friends around or we're just at home. But that bottom picture in this slide here, that's how I feel a lot of times. Right before I go to bed, one of my go-to places every night for a good night's sleep. So a perfect moment of inhalation, I say here. So yeah. So here is another group picture of how the Waldos. Well, I think I already been over there. I'm sorry. Oh, they are. I'm getting my slides mixed up here. So America. Wait, no, I got my slides here. So America and 420, the events of interest here. These are some of the events that I found. Thank you so much to Delia of Event High that are available. So this week in San Francisco, uh, the gentleman Steve Down invented San Francisco Weed Week, and all over San Francisco, every day is a special event. And I'm so honored that on Friday, I'm going to be at one of the events at Professor Siegel's. And my friend Ed Rosenthal, he's going to be at another dispensary on Saturday. And we're all going to be sharing about different information about 420. So if you're in San Francisco, lucky you. And in Ohio, there's the Cannabis Festival and Farmers Market. And in Austin, Texas, that's a fun city. They're having an after dark Austin 420. And then over in Trenton, New Jersey, who would ever dream this would be happening? They're having a brush strokes. And then in New York, there's a Mary Fest. And there's in Tilton, Illinois, there's a 420 Fest at Molly's. And then there's the Tea Party there in Providence, Rhode Island. They're very proper there. And then in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, there is a 420 in Emerald City and Sahara Smokeout in a festival in Attleboro, Massachusetts. And they're in Michigan, and Detroit, Michigan does great 420 parties. And Dreams Canna, and then this one in New York. I was trying to do different cities, but this one sounds so great. It's a Gotham pizza event. You can smoke out and eat all different kinds of pizza. Isn't that so yummy and fun? And then at High Floor in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and in Shelton, Connecticut. Whoever would imagine in Connecticut they'd be having a 420 event? It's here, it's happening, and we are so fortunate because it's 420 all across America. So wherever you live in the United States, there's a place there. But I know we have people from many international countries. And you know what? Maybe you should just write in the text what's happening in your country if it's not already listed here. So if you can't make it to those 420 events, I have some suggestions of things you can do, maybe on your own or gather friends together, like watch a weed documentary. You sit down, have your rig there, have some nice munchies, and watch them. There's so many great documentaries to watch. I mean, there's Nectar Ball. I should have listed that on there. And that's a new one that came out. And of course, the other documentary that uh, the educational Oaks Jam put together last year. Or else maybe you want to listen to some cannabis podcasts. That's always interesting. And you can see how it is all over the world because I think there's hundreds of cannabis podcasts now. Some are educational, some are just informative, and some are fun. And on 420, I think I'd like to have more of the fun ones myself. Or else maybe you feel a little adventurous with cooking and you want to whip up something like maybe a great cannabis recipe. And I know I've done some in the past, and it's a lot of fun. Invite some friends over and maybe have a nice infused curry or a little infused ice cream. And I know I've been known to create a lot of ice cream. So I've got some in the freezer too. So if you want to come on over to where I live, I'll hand you a couple of them. I've got it increments, very safe, of course, 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, but I won't say how the other bigger ones are because I do try and be very lawful. Anyway, how about learning about pot etiquette? That's another thing about nowadays. I try not to share because trying to keep it clean after COVID. So I love those dog walkers. Now, is that in the new pot etiquette jurisdiction? Candace, what do you think?
What was that again? Say that last thing again.
I said about not passing the joint because it's post-COVID.
Oh, yeah. So either, like I think that's why like a lot of brands have moved towards like the smaller joints, like that's why there's like a
The
lot of
dog
dog walkers,
walkers.
or a lot of people have changed to like the method of like using like the chillum method, where they're placing the joint like between their knuckles,
Mhm.
and like smoking like through their fist now, which is a healthier way, not healthier, but like you're not spreading as many germs because you're not putting the joint on your lips and then passing as many germs back and forth. So that's a lot more, you're being more careful and cautious to other people
Yeah.
germs. But going
Safety
back
first.
to what you said about, watching the movies and cooking food, I completely agree. I think those are great ideas. Um, I think also what I was going to say is that the can 420 has become so mainstream that even like on regular TV too, they are doing a lot of reruns. Like you could see like movies like How High and like a lot of like the cannabis like stoner comedies will be like rerun like all day long, like on MTV and like all those kind of like channels. They'll be like playing a lot of like stoner classics, which is kind of cool too. So you can enjoy those. But I love the idea of like putting on your own 420 like dinner party for your friends. I think that's a really fun way to like celebrate 420 in your own way.
Definitely.
And I like the idea of like teaching your friends that are maybe not as, they're not connoisseurs like yourself, like tips about being more mindful cannabis consumers and like tips about etiquette. Like maybe if you are sharing a joint, things like the method of like putting it between your two fingers and smoking out of your fist, so that you're not passing germs. Appropriate ways to smoke. What are some other etiquette things that you were thinking of? Like maybe
Don't bogart.
Bogart. Yeah. Don't sit there with the joint and just keep talking and let it completely burn down or go out. That happens a lot. Um, you
As
know,
you're there staring at them as the smoke is wafting, you're just saying,
mhm.
dude, just pass it.
Yeah, or keeping on passing it back to the person that just passed it to you instead of passing it the other way to the person that's supposed to be getting it. Um, that's another one too. Or keep on passing it to the person that said that they don't want it is another one too. Like the person said no, thank you, and then you keep on giving it to them anyways, and they're like, no, thank you. I said no. Uh,
Just recently, we were at the Emerald Conference, which is a cannabis science conference, and I had enough dog walkers, and we were in a little circle. I made sure everybody had their own dog walker so we
Mhm.
wouldn't have to pass it. And
Yeah,
that worked out well. And I just thought, man, I need more dog walkers.
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so the next thing here I want to share about is international cannabis events. And I actually learned that on Saturday in Hyde Park, London, they're having a 420 picnic. I just think it's wonderful. I wish I could be there and experience that, then fly to New York, go to the pizza party, then fly back to California. And there's that wonderful event in Las Vegas. It's got a Ferris wheel, and that's a Fairchild event. And then, of course, being in San Francisco for Weed Week, I do have tickets to um, a Buds and Blunts, I think it's called, but it's a culinary cannabis event. So that should be fun. So Candace, did you get tickets to that?
Ooh,
Yeah, it's in LA.
oh,
I
nice.
figured, well, I'm going to find new friends that day. Anyway, so these international cannabis events, I have a picture there of cannabis that just happened in March. And then down below, there's a picture there that's more in Thailand, I believe. And then there's a picture there in Uruguay. So I know events are happening. And if you know of anything like our friend in Taipei there, I hope that you write what you're going to be doing on 420 because we would sure like to know how it is for people in different parts of the world.
Yeah. And what I've noticed is that the festivities are even starting earlier this year because it is like on Saturday that they're doing Friday and Saturday to like kind of make it stretch and last longer. And for those of us that work in like cannabis retail, it's like it's like one of those days where we're working a longer day, so we don't necessarily get to enjoy and partake in all the festivities. So having them 419 and 420 gives us an opportunity to work and to also enjoy. So it's nice for those event
Yeah.
organizers to do things multiple days when we have it on a weekend like this.
I know when I had a delivery service, it started at first thing early in the morning and all the way late into the night. And it was hard work, but I knew one thing. I was making a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
So that was the good part of it. But any way you choose to celebrate on 420 is the perfect way. Whether you're dancing and listening to music with friends, cooking, watching a movie, or just enjoying the amazing flower you have. And I have to say thank you to my friend Linda, who, well, I don't know say how it got here, but she's in Hawaii. Some outdoor Maui grown flower. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm going to share that with you, Candace.
Wonderful.
So here's about talking about famous celebrity stoners. We have politicians, musicians, actors, scientists, athletes, and they are all represented here. And it's an honor that they have come out and shared how they enjoy cannabis. And I just, you know, a gentleman who is known to many, Ed Rosenthal, I actually called and I asked him what he's doing on 420. And he said that he will be at that event in San Francisco, but afterwards, he hopes to just meet old friends and also new friends and share a couple of puffs with each other. So thank you so much, Ed. And then Leah Hulse, she was the CEO of Root and Grow back in the 2017. And she said she's going to her niece's championship volleyball game. Then afterwards, coming home and relaxing and smoking a nice one. So thank you so much. So those celebrity stoners are along with these other celebrity stoners. I just have to say thank you so much, like to Carl Sagan, who's no longer with us, but a scientist, a true scholarly man, and he was a lover of cannabis. And Rick Steves, a wonderful world traveler, and he's been a supporter of cannabis for many, many years. And of course, Whoopi. Whoopi had the brand Whoopi and Maya, and she's got a new brand coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and she definitely has embraced it. Montel Williams, Bill Clinton, of course, Steve D'Angelo, and then many actors and actresses. I mean, Michael Phelps, gold medal winner swimmer. He can still do it and swim really fast. And all the other football players, basketball players, volleyball players who have come out and used the cannabis. It is our right. It is our gift to ourselves. And it's something that I know that we all embrace. And it's such an amazing understanding of plant medicine that is giving us so much balance, our harmony, and our peace within. And I'm just so grateful that we can talk about it and share it and really be able to reap the benefits of cannabis. So thank you to those celebrity owners. And thank you so much to the Steve Bloom's Stoner website, too, that shares about that. So now that oh, is it your slides, Candice?
Yeah. No, yeah, and thank you for that presentation, Keiko. I love it.
Yeah,
And that's pretty much like the story that I heard too, like about like the Waldos and like that I believe that is like the true story, but there's so many other like, myths and legends, that people had tried to put up like between like it being like the cop, like the code for, cannabis smoking in progress, the police call to like people I'd heard like if you add up like all the numbers like in a Bob Marley song it equals 420 like there's so many crazy like myths to like what 420 means, but like the persistent like ongoing like story has always been about the Waldos.
the
It's always
Walter.
been about like the Grateful Dead. Now, like the one thing that I hadn't ever connected was the Steve Bloom connection, which completely makes sense because you do need that media entity that can help like publish it and make the story carry on through time. So I'm so glad that you actually brought that into the story because that makes sense.
Mhm.
So that's really cool. Thank you so much for like putting that all that information together, and then also including like all the events that are going on this year, and then carrying it on like the cultural significance and like the celebrities that are cannabis consumers and stuff. That's really cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I've spent a mini 420 with you, so that's great. Um, yeah, and I love how 420 is like worldwide. Like, who would have thought that
It's
these
so right.
these like
It can hide heart.
anywhere you go 420, it's pretty cool. So, and then like that's why I think it's really cool, and we're going to continue on, and we're going to talk about these new more modern day cannabis holidays. So 420, like we were so successful with creating 420, and like and it really is based in California. It's Northern California, these group of high schoolers, older cannabis consumers. And so we're like, hey, we're good at creating these cannabis holidays, and creating trends for let's do it again. you know so here comes 710. So actually it's pretty interesting because not everybody that knows about 420 even knows about 710. So it's not as big as 420 is. So there's a lot of people even within like the dispensaries that when we try to put on like 710 events, people are like, what is 710? So that's why I thought it'd be very good to cover today. So for those of you who maybe don't know, like 710, like why we even picked that number, that if you actually put like 710 in a calculator and turn it upside down, it reads oil. So that's why we picked 710. And it's actually, we've been using the number for quite a while. Oil's been around like longer than we've had concentrates because people were taking like hot knife hits like for a long time, probably since like the 70s, where you'd put it like just on the stove on a burner, getting that knife hot, and then just like like sucking in the smoke, like before we had really cool rigs like you can see in the background of the slide. So it's actually been something that's been done for a long time before it came like really popularized nowadays. So 710, refers to like the cannabis connoisseur community. Those that like to use hash oil or concentrates like waxes and shatter, and like there's many other names that they consistency that we like to use. So like I said, while 420 goes back many decades, the history of 710 is kind of fairly recent. And it only came onto the scene. I would say it's become like celebrated. Like they say 2011, but I would say like the last like 5, 8 years, it's become more popular. And they trace the roots back to like a rapper named Task Rock. And he's had a song back, like 2011 called Boil That Oil. And then he had an album that was called The Movement with with that song was in. That kind of created, the celebration of this new holiday. And the reason that this 710 holiday really became like entrenched like into the community was that not only did we have like the 710 like in this song, but we also kind of created like a community around 710. So like we had the cannabis like flower smokers, but we also had like this community of people that only wanted to smoke concentrates. They kind of like use the 710 number to like kind of call their community like the 710 community. So it kind of great gained traction like within this community and on social media. And so it became like a society, like a little like a club. And so that's why it's become it's kind of stuck around long term. So it's really kind of cool. So there are events that are 710 events. They're not as popular as 420, but there's usually like deals, and we'll have cups around concentrates. So definitely tell your friends about 710, and let's make these events a lot bigger so we can educate people about concentrates. Have more cups and awards to celebrate those that really make fine and high quality concentrates, because it really is a method that brings a lot of people a lot of relief, and you can get a high impact for your for your condition in like a short term. Like, you need to, a lot of people would have to sit there and smoke like a whole joint. It takes a long period of time, whereas you can take one dab and get all that medication into your body in a short period of time. So a lot of benefits with concentrates. I'm a big concentrate fan, so I love, celebrating 710 on a daily basis. So, set your alarm for 4:20 in the day and enjoy some flower, and set your alarm for 7:10 every day and take a nice dab. So, it's just like 4:20. We have that wonderful 7:10. And then one of the newest cannabis holidays is something that was just kind of coined this year. It's very exciting. So Adam Ill, who is a cannabis personality in California here, and then CGO, who has a cannabis brand in California, is also a cannabis personality. They came together, and Adam Ill is actually the one that kind of like figured out, like, he kind of like was the first one that like kind of put the numbers together. I'm sure they were high. They're like, hey,
No.
dude, if you add 4:20 and if you add 7:10, that's 11:30. They're like, we need to like combine flour and concentrates and make a new holiday, so they created National Hash Hole Day. So for those of you who don't know what a hash hole is, you can kind of see it in the back of the screen here. So a hash hole is like a joint or blunt. Actually, it's like a blunt. Technically, it should be a blunt that has a hash hole down the middle of it. Sorry for that. There's different ways of doing it. Originally, most companies that do it like the traditional way, they'll roll a blunt with like a dowel down the middle of it, and they'll pull the dowel out, and they'll have like a cold concentrate like snake that they'll just slide into the dowel hole, and they'll pull the dowel out and put the snake in. There's also ways like people will roll joints and just like place a snake in the middle of the joint, and then roll the joint around the snake. So there's two different ways you can make it, but technically it's like there's concentrate in the middle of flour, a hash hole. So it's, combining the beauty of the flour and the concentrate together. So we are creating a new holiday of combining the concentrate and the flour together. So you people are helping us create this new holiday. So, taking what we've learned from Steve Bloom, you guys are helping us carry on this holiday by passing it on to all of your peers and friends. So just this last year, we had our first ever national hash hole event. It was Los Angeles, put on by CGO and hosted by Adam Ill. It was really super cool. They had all of these different vendors there that had hash holes. They had like a section where they had like, well, actually it was all spread out through the event. It was really cool. They had tables where you could like, it was actually like self-regulated, where you could like just go there, and they had a clock where you could like just like meet up with someone and be like, all right, let's do who can roll the fastest joint. They had like flour out there and like a clock, and you could just like meet up and like roll with somebody, and like all sorts of just like contests and stuff like that. It was really, really fun. It was a really cool event. So props to these people, these two folks, Adam Ill and CGO, for, simplest thing, just like the Waldos, 4:20, hash hole day, add the numbers together, And at first, like when I went, I'm like, why'd they pick 11:30? Whoa, So anyways, groundbreaking cannabis holiday, combining the two numbers together where the magics of concentrates and cannabis come together to create an unforgettable celebration, bringing these two together. So please be a part of, creating this new holiday and celebrating it and moving it forward, So that's just really what it's about. It's about, the cannabis community coming together and creating these new holidays of cultural significance, really a time to like celebrate together, and and it's a time also for us to like educate people. Like you said, we can, either just spend the time, watching things on TV. We can have dinner parties and educate our friends about, medical uses, about etiquette. We can use them to take advantage of the deals at the retail stores and really stock up on the medical products that we're not able to always afford, So there's many things that we can do on these cannabis holidays to benefit ourselves and to move this movement forward. So, yeah.
I mean, this is an amazing time for us to really reflect on how we're moving forward. And I was just reading Marco, a friend in Taipei. They are actually going to be having an event in front of the presidential building with booths and music and food. And said the police are going to be there watching with dogs too, but I hope they're safe and I hope they will have a wonderful time. And again, I'd like to have a picnic in Hyde Park.
Yeah, yeah. So if anybody else has any questions, please put them in the Q&A. And while you come up with the question that you want to ask for the Coral Cove um, vacation that we're going to do as a question, can you tell me a little bit about Coral Cove, Keiko?
Well, Coral Cove, um, I had a dream many years ago that I wanted to be able to travel and be able to consume wherever I wanted to. And that was really something hard when you wanted to travel. But one thing I always dreamed of after a wonderful dinner, I wanted to look out at the sunset and be able to light one up. And I actually made my dreams come true. I met a gentleman who was looking for help on his resort. He wanted to transcend over to offering cannabis for wellness. And I had assisted a friend of his friend with prostate cancer. And sometimes I say that I know more prostates than a hooker because I've helped a lot of gentlemen with prostate cancer. I know it's a little bit naughty, but it's okay. I take a shower every night, so I'm not that dirty. But he had this resort, and it was in Jamaica, and he was to get a license. So I wrote up my dream of what I felt his resort could be with education. That was the number one issue. I really wanted to be able to educate people who wanted to come and learn about cannabis, as well as we did segue into fungi because I started studying fungi back in the 70s. I took the first time Ramdas was able to teach at a major university was at UCI, and I took his class. And Ramdas was Professor Richard Alfred, and he studied with Dr. Timothy Leary about psychedelics at Harvard University before they were kicked out. But then he went to India and he became Ramdas. So my desire to be able to establish this resort came true. And it's a beautiful resort right on the ocean. We have our own licensed dispensary, and we have kayaking, snorkeling, surfing, as well as stand-up paddle, yoga, and meditation. Yes, 420 is a big celebration. It's the Cannabis Cup taking place, and the judging will be taking place at the Blue Hole, and then a lot of the guests will be staying at Coral Cove. And it's known as the Orange Hill Cannabis Cup because that's where the best is grown in Jamaica. So that's the first of its kind for Jamaica, and we hope that everybody there will come down and enjoy themselves. And then maybe, yes, they'll do a 710 and a cornhole next year. Yes.
Hashbowl, nice. And then one day they'll be like, you know who helped make Hashbowl Day popularized throughout the country? Friends of the Farm lecture series. That's who. So, so help me do my part. So, well, this has been really educational and really entertaining, and I hope that you guys all go out there and have a really, really wonderful 420. Next year in 2025, it's going to be on Easter. So it's like we've got a really great one this year. We've got a really great one coming up next year. For those of you that are regular watchers, I've got a really wonderful webinar for you guys in 2 weeks as well. We're going to have a really fun, interactive bring your bong to yoga class webinar. So it's going to be really fun with Sage, who's watching today. So thank you for being with us today, Sage. And I look forward to having you guys all with us next week. But yeah, thanks for being such a great guest for us today, Keiko. We've learned a lot, and I'm really excited for 420 this year.
Again, Candace, I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm so appreciative of everybody that's here with us. And did you guys have a good time? Mm-hmm. And I hope you guys win the trip to Coral Cove too. Thank you so much. Next time, as you're in San Francisco, go to Professor Siegel's on Friday night, and I'll see you there.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Keiko, for being with us today, and to all of our audience members for taking the time to learn about the history and the roots behind our 420 holiday, to learn about 710, and then about the new holiday, 1130 Hash Hole Day. Thank you so much again. Be very safe this 420. Help educate people about, the benefits of cannabis, the safe use of cannabis. I hope that we were able to share some information that will make you all be better informed cannabis consumers, and that the information that we shared will help you find relief. Until next time, everybody stay safe and well, and we look forward to seeing you for the next episode of the Friends of the Farm Lecture Series. Thank you, guys.